Have you ever wondered why Satan wanted Moses' body so much after he died? This question may seem disturbing, even bizarre, but it has deep roots in stories in the Bible. Moses, an important figure in history, led the Israelites out of the chains of slavery in Egypt to the gates of the Promised Land. He is the vehicle of the Ten Commandments, the beacon of hope and faith. But what happened after he disappeared was truly shocking. According to the Bible, God placed Moses in a secret place. However, a special event happened. In that year, there was a violent conflict between the archangel Michael and the devil over the remains of Moses. This is not a natural story, but is a reference to the book of Jude verse 9, in which the archangel Michael and Satan came into serious conflict over the body of Moses. This scenario raises more questions than it answers, so let's look at the biblical events surrounding Moses' death and this particular dispute. Moses, who brought the Israelites out of Egypt, who received the Ten Commandments directly from God, and who guided his people to the Promised Land, is now on the brink of death. His life was filled with extraordinary encounters, divine revelations, and powerful miracles. However, right before entering the Promised Land, he made a very serious mistake that almost cost him his position. God specifically asked Moses to speak to the rock so that water would flow out and the children of Israel would drink. But unfortunately, under pressure from the Israelites, Moses turned to the people angrily and said, "Do we still have to bring you water to drink?" Although this statement may seem harmless, it has very serious consequences. Moses' first mistake was using the word "we" instead of God. It was God's power that made the water flow, not Moses's. By saying "we," it means Moses is ascribing a certain degree of authority to himself. Secondly, Moses struck the rock even though God had told him to speak to it. Immediately after doing this, God told Moses that he would not enter the Promised Land again because of his mistake. Think about it. Can you imagine everything Moses went through only to ultimately fail, then die? The book Deuteronomy 34 verses 5-6 recounts the event of Moses' death. It was said, "So Moses the Lord's servant died there in the land of Moab, according to the Lord's word. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor. But no one knows his grave until this day." This passage tells us that Moses died in the land of Moab according to the word of the Lord, and then, by a mystical and divine act, God himself buried Moses. This is an unusual event in the Bible. God, the creator of the universe, personally participates in the burial of a man. It is not common to hear of God performing the burial. This act of divine intervention signifies the special bond that Moses shared with God. Moses was not just a servant of God, he is a friend. And in this friendship we see a remarkable act of love, respect, and honor. But then a question arose. Why did God choose to bury Moses in a secret place? Why is the location of his tomb hidden from the world? The answer to this question takes us deeper into the wisdom of God and the cunning plans of Satan, where we see the archangel Michael and Satan in a heated argument. This is not an ordinary argument. But then Satan came and took possession of Moses' body. His bold move was met with resistance from none other than Archangel Michael. The Bible does not give us all the details of this heavenly confrontation, but we do know that Michael, faithful to his divine duty, resisted Satan's claims. Michael, an archangel with great power and authority, stood his ground. However, he did not rebuke Satan in his name or by his power. Instead, he said, "May the Lord rebuke you." Here we see the humility and wisdom of the archangel Michael, who realized that the power to rebuke Satan comes only from God. One might ask, why would a celestial being like Satan be so interested in the remains of Moses? What can he gain by possessing the body of a dead man? First, Satan may have wanted to prevent Moses from being resurrected or going to heaven. Satan may have mistakenly believed that God intended to send Moses to heaven, like Elijah or Enoch. In the Gospel of Matthew 17, Moses appears with Elijah on the Mount of Transfiguration with Jesus. Satan, being the cunning enemy that he is, may have tried to prevent this from happening by possessing Moses' body. Another main reason why Satan wanted Moses' body was because he most likely wanted to use Moses' body as an idol for the Israelites. Do you remember the golden calf incident in Exodus 32? Satan knew this, so he may have intended to lure them into worshiping Moses' body or relics. This can be an effective way to distract them from truly worshiping God. A third reason is that Satan, who is called the accuser in Revelation 12-10, may have wanted to accuse Moses of his past sins and his unworthiness before God's face. Satan could have used Moses' past failures, such as killing an Egyptian, breaking the table of the law, or breaking a rock instead of talking to him, as grounds for condemnation. The devil loves to accuse and condemn, and Moses, although he did great things, was not without sin. Finally, Satan may have wanted to mock God's plan and power by taking over Moses' body. Satan may have tried to gain victory over God's chosen leader and mediator. The devil, with his pride and rebellion, constantly seeks to challenge God and his plans. But let us remember this: if Satan's cunning has no limits, then neither does the wisdom of God. God's power and wisdom are infinitely greater than Satan's plans. Even in the face of Satan's cunning, God's plan always prevails. So, remember, no matter how cunning Satan is, God's wisdom, power, and love for us are infinitely greater. Beyond reason, there is a larger lesson. Is a story we have unfolded today, a complex story woven from our faith, a story of leadership God chooses, Moses, and the ensuing battle for his lifeless body. But let's go back for a moment. Let's look beyond the battle, Satan's motives, and discover the larger message hidden in this story. First, it is a reminder of the importance of true worship. The Israelites repeatedly fell into the trap of worshiping idols, whether it was a golden calf or a bronze snake. They are easily diverted from worshiping the one true God. The potential abuse of Moses' body as an object of veneration highlights the struggle, reminding us to focus our worship on God alone. Second, it demonstrates that God's grace far outweighs our shortcomings, and His love is stronger than our past failures. Ultimately, this story brutally reminds us of the need to resist Satan's temptations. Satan is very cunning and will use every trick to divert us from God's path. But as Archangel Michael proves with faith in the power of God's word, we can resist these temptations. Let us remember the story of Moses' body not as a terrible battle, but as evidence of God's lasting protection and guidance. It is a testament that continues to resonate, reminding us of the importance of true worship, God's redemptive power, and the need to resist Satan's temptations. If you found this content informative, please support us by subscribing to our channel.